as far as you're concerned?
My issue today, and there were issues yesterday, but today there's bigger issues. I found a note in her room, and it said that she had her boyfriend over while my husband and I were out to dinner. And that is a huge cardinal rule in our house. You don't have friends over, especially at 15, especially when you're just starting to date, and that whole thing. I was devastated.
Well, don't go off the deep end. Certainly, you may have been disappointed, but it certainly shouldn't come. Do you remember being 15?
I do.
Remember how sneaky you were at 15? Because you had to be. Because if you...
Yeah, I was.
I mean, everybody was. Because, I mean, not because we're all sort of evil creatures, but because, first of all, we think we know better. Second of all, sex is pretty urgent. Third of all, our parents are trying very hard to restrict our behavior.
Right.
And number four, if we ask permission, it's that all of us have learned very early on, it's much easier to beg forgiveness than ask permission. And there's always the possibility we'll get away with it.
Right.
So, I mean, being devastated seemed to me a waste of a perfectly reasonable emotion. It's just misplaced here. How did you tell me about the note?
In the note, she also said that they tried to have sex.
Why? Where was the note? And
the note was in her trash barrel, and I saw it, just kind of laying there, and I saw her handwriting, and I was very curious. So, of course, I picked it up because,
right,
I had to.
I mean, well, no, you didn't, and you really now have information that's going to be very difficult to deal with your kid, because she's going to go ballistic. Because what you're going to say is, how can I trust you?
Right.
And she's going to say right back, why should I trust you?
That's exactly what my son said.
Yeah. Well, he's right.
My son ended up calling me maybe 20 minutes after I found it, and I talked with him for an hour.
How old is your son?
He's 22.
Okay. Well, his point's well taken. So the question is, what do we do about this?
Right.
All right.
I mean, I want to be able to go out to dinner and with my husband and not worry that she's having sex at my house.
All right. Well, have you talked? Let's sort of deconstruct this a little bit. First of all, what have you told your kid about sex?
We had a long conversation, probably right after she started dating, because I realized...
Which was how long ago?
4 or 5 months ago.
Okay.
The minute she turned 15.
What was your specific? What was the gist and or the specifics of what you said to her?
Well, I didn't. She knows all about all that stuff, but we basically sat down and told her that she has a choice at this point, whether or not she's going to be one of the good girls or one of the bad girls.
Oh, Eva. What a silly thing to say.
I want her to be a good girl.
Were you a good girl?
I was.
How old were you when you had sex for the first time?
Probably 19.
Listen, you're first of all, that's ridiculous. I mean, I don't even know a polite way to say it. What you want your daughter to do is be able to deal with the link between her feelings and her behavior. You have given her nothing. Nothing. Because she's going to feel that wanting to have sex with her boyfriend means she's a bad girl, and if she's a bad girl, she might as well go and have sex. And she can't ever tell you about it because you'll view her as a bad girl and be disappointed in her. Bad parenting, my dear.
I knew
you don't hear me say
wrong.
that. You don't hear me say that. That's not my job to make you feel lousy. My job is to help you. But my goodness, what a silly, foolish, unthought through thing to say. Which is not, I mean, you want to help your daughter make intelligent choices and understand consequences. You've just completely cut her off from any of that. That isn't what you want to do. So hopefully you're going to listen to me read you the riot act and tell you how to redo this.
I am so going to listen to you.
Good girl. All right.
It becomes very difficult when it's your own daughter.
I know, but that's still, I mean, look, that's like you saying when your daughter shoplifts something and she says, and you say, I can't believe you did that. She says, yeah, but you don't understand how strong the feeling was. And you say, well, okay, then it's all right. Of course it's strong. Of course it's your daughter. That doesn't give you permission to do bad stuff any more than it gives her permission to do bad stuff. So you're going to take a deep breath, and the first thing you're going to have to do is apologize to your kid, okay? Well, you don't even have to apologize. What you're going to have to do is go and kind of do a revision here. And you're going to have to do it carefully because you don't want your daughter sort of viewing you as the enemy, and all she has to do is get around you and be sneaky. All right, because then it becomes fun. And if you don't remember trying to get around your parents,
right,
you have completely forgotten your childhood. Because everybody does. We all do it.
Yeah, my son said exactly the same thing. He said, you don't think I had people over when you were out to dinner?
The issue is not, does your daughter have people over when you go out for dinner? The issue is not, when you go away on vacation, is your house party central? The issue is teaching your daughter to take responsibility for her own behavior. Do I think at 15 she's too young to have sex? Yes. She's not going to ask my permission. She not only is not going to ask your permission, she's not going to talk with you about it because you've already labeled her a bad girl. All right? So we're going to have to go and redo that, number one. It seems to me the message that you want your daughter to have is sex is an adult behavior. It's complicated, and the issue isn't bodies. Bodies are the easy part. Heads are the complicated part. Because at 15, you don't know. Think of how much you've changed in the last 4 months since your birthday. That you like a different rock group, you like different music, you have different friends or whatever. You're wearing your hair a different way. You've gotten another piercing, whatever it is. You see your daughter, so you know these things, even though you feel that you should read her, the stuff in her wastebasket. So you know a lot more than you think you know just by observing your kid. And either and point out how much things have changed, because that she'll identify with. You're not lecturing her, you're helping her understand her own maturation process. If, in fact, it is true that you've changed a lot in the last 4 or 5 months, you may change a lot in the next 4 or 5 months. Mm-hmm. So what you want to do now is make sure that you're making decisions that don't put you in a place that you are now and keep you there, because you're going to change. We know that you're going to change because you've already changed. Mm-hmm. So do I think you're too young to be dating? Probably. But I know you really like Charles, and I know he really likes you. So the deal that we got to do here is I've got 5 things I got to get done by the time you're 18. I want to make sure you get through high school. I want to make sure that you're not on drugs. I want to make sure you're not arrested. I want to make sure that you haven't been in a car accident and either killed yourself or killed somebody else. And I want to make sure you're not pregnant. Now, let's figure out how we do that. Number 1, you're doing fine in school, so I don't have to worry about that. Drugs. Listen, there's going to be lots of temptations. You need to be aware that we have a family history of alcoholism, or, your uncle or whatever. Yep. But the best thing, you've done a really good job of that. You need to remind yourself that at 18, the world is yours. You can do anything, any stupid thing you want, and not have me to answer to. Right. But we got 3 more years together, or 2 more years, or whatever it is. 3 more years. All right. Car. When it comes time to driving, that you don't get into a car with somebody who's been drinking. You don't drive when you've been drinking. You always have $20 in your shoes. You will call me, and I will pick you up in any circumstances without any sermon whenever somebody's been drinking. All right, so we don't have to worry about that. Arrested, that you don't shoplift, that you don't think it's cute, because those are things that can ruin the rest of your life. Now let's get to the one that's a little complicated for me to talk with you about and you to hear about, which is pregnancy. The best way not to get pregnant is not to have sex. If we're up to me, you wouldn't have sex till you're 40. You're not going to ask for my permission. I didn't ask my mom's permission. So let's talk about sex. That the impulse to have sex is perfectly normal. Your body is ready to have sex. The question is the rest of you? Mm-hmm. And if the answer is yes, then you have to think about, first of all, protection, not only in terms of venereal disease and in terms of pregnancy, but also protection of your reputation, of your sense of yourself, of your feelings. If this guy doesn't call, if he talks to people about it at school, how are you going to feel about sex? And if the only reason ever to have sex is because you really want to have sex, not because you're curious, not because you're going to be the last person in your class, not because you think you'll like another girl, not because of any other reason, because sex is us. It's not something that we do, it's not sort of like an iPod where we plug it in and plug it out. Right. This is our body, and especially for women, for girls. Quite often sex isn't all that much fun to begin with. You have to really trust your partner. You can get pregnant, and it's invasion of your body space. So the best way, you're the only one who's going to determine when you're going to have sex. I'm not going to be there, I assume. And boys are going to give you a lot of pressure about it because they're not thinking about you. They're thinking about them. They're seeing life through a spermy green haze. You don't believe me? You talk to your brother about it, because he's going to tell you. The boys don't think about the girl. They say, I love you, right. The most beautiful. All they're thinking about is their little throbbing penis and sort of having it less throbby. Therefore, the girl has to sort of she has to watch out for herself. That's not to treat boys as the enemy, but to realize that a guy will say anything to get you to take your clothes off, to have sex with him. And that's neither good nor bad. It just is. So you got to be smart enough to figure out when you want to have sex and what makes sense to you. And if you're ready to have sex, you need to make sure that he has a condom. I will put condoms in your room, not because I think you should have sex, not because I think you're ready, but because it's the only way to be 100% sure. And the best way to get yourself in trouble is to have a boy over when we're not here. Because if you're at a party or whatever, you can always call me. If we're not here and he's on your turf, you're going to have a much harder time controlling the circumstance. So that's why I don't want you to have boys here when we're not here. Okay, because then you've given her some information.
Right.
Any part of that you didn't understand?
You're brilliant.
No,
I knew you would have the answer.
Okay,
I knew I was over the deep end.
All right, so go pick your kid up from school today and go someplace quietly where the two of you can talk. Okay?
Sounds great.
If you need some help, I'm here.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We do not tell our kids that their sexuality makes them bad. That's dangerous.